Aloha and welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. I'm your host, Savy, the founder of Gimme a Break. As you know, we're a nonprofit organization that's caring for you. We care for caregivers. We don't take care of the one you're caring for, although can provide resources, but we're here for the caregiver. Those of you who watch our show or listen on podcast regularly know the statistic, and doggone it, still hasn't changed. It's still at 50% of caregivers will pass before the one that they're caring for. We have got to ramp it up. We have got to start practicing wellness, self-care, and we've got to get the word out there that caregivers are at high risk. And by the way, that statistic for 70 and older, it does go up to 70%. So, if you're taking care of someone and you're over 70, please, please, please make your wellness a priority. And as I had mentioned last week on the show, one of our own who was in that age bracket passed and left behind the one they were caring for. And so we had a moment of silence then for it. And here it is a week later, and I'm still feeling just the heartache from that. And also on Monday coming up will be a funeral for another one of our caregivers who has passed. And we can't keep dropping like this. We can't keep dropping like flies, you guys. We've got to take care of ourselves. We've got to know that we can be good caregivers and that we can survive and thrive beyond to be able to do all the wonderful things in life that we would like to accomplish and that we could do and that we can contribute to the world. So much positivity that we could put out there in the world. So you're worth it. Take the time for your wellness and know that you matter. We need to survive and then continue to thrive after. And that's what Gimme a Break is all about. And if you need more information, just go to our website, gab808.org. Some great information for you there, and you can contact us. The easiest way is to just fill out a caregiver support form, and it could be about anything. This is for questions. This is for resources. This is for community. Anything you need, just go ahead and fill that form out, and we'll get back to you. Because we do know it's hard, and I know you're exhausted, and I'm still caregiving, so I get it. We get it. We're all caregivers here. We know you need a break. And so one of the breaks we do provide for you is with our support sessions. And our support sessions, mind you, they're every week. So every week online, so easy. Just click onto a Zoom. If you don't have the Zoom app, just get the Zoom app. I'm not being paid by Zoom, by the way. It's a super easy app to download. Go to the Play Store or your whatever you get your applications and download Zoom. It's super easy. Once you get to that, you want to join a meeting, you're going to type in the meeting ID 808-754-3787 and bang, you're in. You're in. And don't worry, if you're having problems with video or audio, we'll walk you through it. We've all been doing this for quite some time. And so every Tuesday evening, Hawaii Standard Time at 8 p.m., join us. Every caregiver, you need community. And we're your community. This is your safe space. Right now, we've been going through the care receiving plan. Your care receiving plan is going to be everything. And as we go through this, you'll wish that the person you're caring for had it. So much involved in what you need to survive and what you need to have whoever's caring for you survive and to make your care receiving even that much better. Last night we were talking about finances, and that's a big one. Not everyone wants to have that talk. Sometimes it's hush hush, but put out some guidelines for you and we'll review it. So if you missed it, join us this Tuesday next week. Join us and we'll review it over, and we review every session and we'll get you caught up to speed because your care receiving plan is everything. And just remember, it is, like I said, it's your positive, safe space. It's where you connect with community and caregivers just like you. Okay, so join us. Do it. The Caring Caregiver Show is how Gimme a Break gets you connected to resources. And of course, through Giver's Guides, our online magazine, which is a magazine for caregivers to guide you. And it's written exclusively for caregivers, by caregivers, with articles directed just at you. In fact, our current issue this June is celebrating, it's Men's Health Month, National Men's Health Month. So we're celebrating dads and men with great articles for you. We know that you cannot practice wellness for maybe an hour or 2 hours a day because you're caregiving. And if you're a caregiving dad or a caregiver that's taking care of your family member, it's hard. So these articles are directed at how to do this in moments, how to incorporate it in your already chaotic life, and somehow weaving wellness in. And that's what we are aiming for. And so this one we dedicate once a year to all of you male caregivers out there and all you guys, and how life can be a little different. We get that. So check out the article, get your subscription, go to Givers Guides. Where is it? There it is. Go to giversguides.com and subscribe today. Don't miss a single edition. Next month's edition is going to be even better. And I say that every month. And I don't lie. So check it out. All right. Well, good. I get all that off the screen. You know, I'm my own tech person. There we go. Welcome back. And so this season, thanks to Andy Pierce of iBOUNCE Up, we've had our motivational moment just before we begin every show this season. And I'm so excited because he's really given us some great food for thought, great ways to really be mindful about that motivation that we have to motivate ourselves to greatness, even in a situation where you're surrounded with negativity, right? Like I've told you guys before, one negative, you need 5 positives. So when something negative happens, just look around you and grab it, the 5 most positive things you can see and think of, right? And we're going to fight this tooth and nail. Well, here's our one negative. Andy couldn't be here today. He had a funeral that he had to go to. So we send our strength and our hearts with him and wish him safe travels. But here's the positive, that he took time out to make a video so that you guys could still get your mindful moment. And if it touches 5 of you, he's got his 5 positives to 1 negative, right? All right, so here it is. I'm going to play it for you. And here's Andy's mindful motivation for you.
Hey, how's it
And I
going?
have to put it on screen.
I'm excited to share my mindful minute today. Um, it's one of my favorite skills for helping us build strong relationships. And really, what it comes down to is giving our time and our attention to those that we care about most. Some of the research has always been so surprising to me on this subject, and that is that um, when it comes to understanding and building relationships, a key factor is not necessarily when people come to us with bad news or when they're having a bad day. In fact, we are more selective with those people that we share our good news with. And so when somebody shares good news with you, people are a lot more selective. And if you think about it for a moment, when you think of who you want to share the good things that have happened in your life with, you'll find that you really are a lot more selective with who those people are. And so when people share good news with us or share the happy things that happen in their lives, there's 4 different ways that people tend to respond. And the first one is something I like to call the ender. And this is where that person, when you share good news with them, they are distracted. And, maybe they're on their phone and they're not really paying attention. So this is called the ender because it ends the conversation. And think back for a moment. Have you ever shared or been excited to share some good news with somebody and they just weren't giving you the attention, or they were on their phone or not paying attention? So the underlining message is that, this person doesn't care about my good news or even care about me. Now, people don't do this on purpose. They're doing it because they're busy. So to be really understanding of where people are coming from, but also when someone shares good news with you, to give them your attention and be there with them. Another way, so 3 of the styles actually take away from the relationship and 1 adds to the relationship. So the second way in which people tend to respond that is not helpful, kind of like the ender, is called the taker. And this is where they change the topic, where they ignore the event, where they, or they'll start talking about their own experience, and people do this to try and really relate to the other person. But again, the underlying message is that they stole the conversation and they made it about themselves, even though they're just trying to relate. So the third way in which people tend to respond is what I call the robber. Now, this is the person that they're point out the negative, the things that are not good about this good news. And the reason people do this, again, is oftentimes it's to protect the people that you care about. Hey, I'm worried about you about this one thing that is maybe good news for you, but maybe they see like a couple red flags that they want to bring up. But again, the underlying message is that that your good news is actually not good news, which leaves that kind of bad taste in our mouth. And sometimes we'll leave that conversation feeling like, oh man, I'm not coming to that person with good news anymore. And maybe you've shared good news with people where they did this. And again, people aren't doing this because they're trying to be mean or trying to be a jerk. They do it because they care, is typically the reason why. But again, the underlying message is not bringing positive experience to that good news. Now, the last one is what I call the multiplier. And this is the person that multiplies that positive emotion. And what it is they are interested in the good news. They elaborate on the good news. They're there with you in the good news. And it feels so good when you go and share some good news with somebody and they just are there with you in it. It feels good in your heart and in your mind. And it's so simple yet so challenging if we're not really trying to be the multiplier. And really it just comes down to asking questions about that person, about their good news, about why it's good news and how you're excited for them, and really giving them the attention and the positive emotions that come with their already positive emotion. So there's these these 4 different styles in that last one. If we, pay attention to how we respond when people share with us good news, and you'll find that when you use this one, our relationships will become so much stronger, and those people will come back over and over and over again, because they know that that you're there for them. So thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.
And I'm back. There we go. Caught me off guard. I was writing notes. Oh my God. I had to write so many notes when he was talking. Truly motivating. And it really made me think about when we are caregivers, right? And how we respond, because somebody we are caring for, especially someone who's dealing with some sort of dementia related or memory related response. And it might even be something that we don't understand. We don't get it when we've heard it all. We've heard it every 5 minutes, right? And how do we respond to that? Do we respond as a ender, or as a taker, or a robber, or do we just keep being the multiplier, right? And I know it's really hard because sometimes we think about how what we want people to respond to us is the first impression. But let's think about how we are as caregivers and how we can really perpetuate positivity by continuing to be the multiplier, even if we've heard that same story over and over again every 5 minutes. Ask the questions. Oh, wow, that's great. And when was that? Was that when you guys first met? Oh, and tell me that story again. And why not go into it with as much positivity as we can take in one day? And if you can't, it's okay. I know my mom told the same story over and over again. She said the same thing, asked the same questions 5 minutes later. And when you can and be that positive beam of light, do it. When you can't, do what I did. Oh, God, I think I left something on the stove. I'll be right back. Oh, the laundry just finished. I got to go hang it. I'll be right back. And that got me out of the room. It gave me 5 or 10 minutes to just take a breath, regroup, And then by the time I went back into the room, she forgot about it anyway. So the beauty of caring for someone with dementia is it's all in 5-minute increments. Just give yourself time to be mindful and stay in that positive headspace. And I really thank you so much, Andy, for that. And you guys can contact him at iBOUNCEUP.org to get more motivation and to be able to continue to be positive in any way that we can, because that's really where we need to live. We need to live in positivity. It's not easy to do that. And safe travels to you, Andy. We look forward to next week's moment. And I'm feeling so positive, so motivated. So let's bring on our guest today. He's a decorated test pilot. Yes, I said test pilot, instructor, aerospace professional, caregiver, and the author of Final Approach, a test pilot story of caring for a loved one. Please welcome Dr. Jonathan Knaul. Aloha, Jonathan. How are you? Welcome. I'm so excited that you're here today.
Aloha. I'm really excited to be here. What a wonderful introduction. By the way, so sorry to hear that you lost some folks. And also wonderful what Andrew Pierce just did. I love that. That was fantastic. Your messages are just great. And so all that to say, it's a real pleasure to be here and an honor. And by the way, your background there is just great too. Savy, I wanted to tell you, it's wonderful to see. So it's real nice to be here.
You're just the sweetest. And when I met you earlier in our pre-show talk, and I felt like we bonded because, of course, all caregivers just had that commonality of heart, really. And I had such a great conversation with you, and I was really looking forward to talking to you today. But let's talk about your caregiving story just to start off with. Let's share your caregiving story with everybody so they understand, because I did mention that you're a caregiver, and I want everyone to understand when I bring someone on the show, it's because they get it. They're caregivers just like you. So share your story, John.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And first of all, I'll also say thank you to all the listeners and viewers for tuning in. That's just makes it really something special and an honor for me. My caregiving story, I took care of both my parents through to their passing. My father got quite ill when I was a teenager. I was 15. He lasted about 6 months. I'm from Toronto. I'm Canadian. So he was in a very good hospital in downtown Toronto, but it was the 80s in a cancer ward, and he needed a lot of extra support. Like any hospital or any healthcare entity, they're short on resources, and that's pretty common. So I did a lot of care for him, right down to his most private needs, and was there with him until the end, along with my mother and sister. But I certainly played a very large role as the man. And then our mother, my mother, lived until she was almost 99. But I had to put my career on the sideline. It was really, a slow decline of about 10 to 15 years, a period of a slow onset of dementia and a lot of, the body declining in different ways. So incremental care. And then the last couple of years, I gave up my career, didn't think I'd see it again, and moved in with my mom, sold everything I had, gave up my home, and went and took care of her. And but we made it through. Took good care of her right till the end as well. I'm proud of that. I feel good about that, and I was able to keep my career and get back to it at the level I wanted to, and take care of myself too, which was your other message, and get back to myself. So that's the short story of my caregiving.
And I know that, and I think that's also where we had a commonality, was that we, both taking care of our mothers with dementia and losing your careers, and that's such a hard thing. And I think that's let's just talk about that, because that's what kind of leads into your book and why it's called what it is. But your career is that you were a test pilot.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because you don't normally go through the day and meet somebody, and it's kind of like saying, hi, I'm a teacher, hi, I'm a rocket scientist. It's like, hi, I run a nonprofit, hi, I'm a test pilot. So I'm sure our listeners would love to hear what that's all about, and how that led you to write your book.
Yeah, well, I'm still a test pilot, thankfully. I'm actually instruct test pilots and flight test engineers out here in Mojave, California. I live just south of there, just north of Los Angeles. As I mentioned, I'm Canadian, so I've been down here for a handful of years and get to continue my career after I finished a 33-year service in the military. So, I don't know where to begin. I have a very adventurous, very exciting life, and I'm very lucky and privileged to do it. And I work with a tremendous amount of very gifted and talented people, astronauts, and you name it. And my students are stellar. We get outstanding students. And I saw a platform there through my career to talk about caregiving because in my career, I hope I'm answering your question properly, Savy. In my career, it's not one that where we bear our soul and our emotions. Keeping that stuff hidden is probably pretty core or very common in my career. But I'm a sensitive person, I'm a vulnerable person, and I'm happy to be that way. So at the right time and right place, believe me, I'm not crying in the cockpit. That would not be good.
I love that.
But,
I love that. And I love that you shared that because it's true. As caregivers, even if we are I've known caregivers who are very outgoing in their pre-caregiving life, and then isolation and depression changes that. And we kind of put it all in there. So being able to share your experience, come out of that and put it on a pen to paper to motivate and help and guide others is so admirable because it really, we preach telling your story all the time, right? In fact, we talk about it in our nonprofit because we do a Caregiver of the Year contest every year that we try to share caregiving stories. And the reason why is to create awareness that you're not alone. And so somebody can hear your story and say, I thought I was the only one. I didn't think anybody else was going through this. And so sharing your story is very impactful and means so much. And I know that within your book and your story, you also share some of the things that your parents even had to go through, right? There was just learning resilience and strength from them and what they survived. Because if I'm correct, I believe both your parents or your father was in Auschwitz.
Yeah, that's correct. First of all, your message about not alone really is a big part of my book. And through my website is the network that I'm building, like you are, to remind caregivers you're not alone, because it can get very, very lonely and you can feel very isolated, and it's a terrible place to be feeling. But you're not alone. As to my parents, my father. I grew up in Canada. My parents met in Canada, but my father was born in Poland in 1923. It may have been 1924. There's a bit of controversy about that, but notwithstanding, he and the whole family were, both my parents were Jewish, but he and his whole family were rounded up in late 1939. And he did spend a year, he was in a number of labor camps, but he ended up spending a year in Auschwitz. Somehow survived, and out of the frying pan and into the fire was sent to Dachau. Wow. And then survived Dachau. And that's another story. He came to Canada as a refugee. Only a half brother of a very large family survived. Very harrowing and very extraordinary. My mother was British and born in 1923. That one we know for sure, in London. And she lived through the whole bombing. And at age 16 in 1940, she went and volunteered and got on a boat and helped out at the evacuation of Dunkirk at age 16, which is just absolutely extraordinary. She was the, she was the, pardon me, she was the breadwinner of the family, and crossing London every day to, despite the carnage. So again, as they met in Canada, and they had very extraordinary lives already. My father was a Renaissance man. He was a really sensational downhill skier and taught me how to ski. And I can go on about a number of other things.
What a great memory.
So I saw the platform, because here's the thing that you all understand, to be a good caregiver, it's not the right term, but one element of being good at caregiving is knowing the person you're caring for. It's very individualistic. So through the book, I saw a platform to make an interesting guide about caregiving by threading it through the extraordinary lives of both my parents, so that you would get to know them, and it's quite interesting. And my mother was a character, and I get into that a bit too, a character in a very good way, and also through my life as a test pilot, and again, to give that reminder that you can still keep your life and your career, or you can get back to it, despite the caregiving that you have to give, and also to blend in there the bit about caring for yourself, because you said that at your very introduction about how the statistics of 50% of caregivers pass before the person being cared for, and that number goes up as you get older. So that's really.
So actually, I've got your book on the screen right now. So it's actually, your book is called Final Approach, a test pilot's story of caring for loved ones. And I just think it's so unique because, and I love that final approach, right? And I love that because it's so unique, and not that you not just talk about, caregiving and how to better your caregiving, and move forward in that way, but you really kind of pull from back. You take the history and give that story of people. And sometimes, and I feel like, and I think there's a lot of people who can relate to this, is that, oops, what did I do? There we go. And who can relate to this is that you're caregiving and you don't even know the person you're caregiving for sometimes, and I didn't always know the history of my parents. And I thought to myself, boy, if I could time travel, I would go back to when they were really falling in love. And I would try to understand, what that was, because we see them as mom and dad and we don't always see them as people. I'd like to see them and know what their beliefs were. I don't even know what my father's political beliefs were. It was never a conversation. Some people I know do, but that was never, we hardly ever talked in our family. And so I come from a generation where it was, seen, not heard, right? And things were just kept quiet, and you just went on from day to day. I think I would have liked to have known more about my parents' personalities. So I love that you share that history, because it's also a great reminder for us. And, as we're coming to the close of Pride Month too, right? Pride is not just about LGBTQIA. It's also about respecting people for who they are, and what they've gone through, and allowing people to celebrate and be who they are. And your parents had to go through so much because of who they were, and to be persecuted for that, and then to come out of it and to raise such a fine young man like yourself, who eventually cared for them, is really a story worth reading, I feel. So I really love the idea that you're sharing the history as well as ways for caregivers to move forward and to continue on.
Yeah, I will tell you that. Thank you, Savy, and thank you for those kind words. They really resonate, and I'm very flattered too. Thank you. Sorry, I tell the stories. I go back and forth in time to tell their history while I'm telling what's presently happening to them and for them with me. And the idea with that is that while the book is about me and my parents and my sister too, very much so, it's not for me or us, it's for the reader. And I really wanted to do that. And I'll add that not everyone has good relationships with their parents. They can be poor relationships, and they can be very complex. So I open up about that too. My father suffered terrible PTSD, and I had a very difficult childhood with him. At times abusive, and I'm quite willing to be vulnerable about that. I still loved him and I took care of him. He was my dad, but it was a very complex relationship. And so I would like folks to know that too, because you can end up caring for somebody who really you have not a very good relationship with, and I get that piece. I don't know how much time we have. I wanted to reference something about the book cover that you put up. If I could take a minute, it might be good for the listeners.
Yes,
So,
absolutely. Let me get that back up again too.
Yeah, I'm very proud of it, and the title is Final Approach, a test pilot story of caring for loved ones. But that wasn't the original title. The original title was Together Across the Threshold, which is a chapter in the book.
Wow.
And that was the point where I had to, against my mother's knowledge, I had to trick her and into thinking she didn't know she was going to leave her home forever and go to a dementia care facility. But I suffered caregiver burnout, and she needed better care. And I got to that point. And I wheeled her across the threshold of her of the doorway one day of her home, and something I still have some challenges thinking about. I certainly need to let go. So that was the original title. The folks I worked with to self-publish, and it is self-published, had me change and I think we did a better one with Final Approach. And the picture I selfied it on film. It was in the last year of my mother's life. That's my hand in hers. And so I put that on the front cover. But that's where we got to Final Approach. And I really felt that I wanted people to know about the fact that you can, excuse my voice, that you can still have your career in your life despite taking care of somebody. And that's really important because it's hope.
I can totally relate. With that. Taking my mom over the threshold, and the last time she was here and went into care and went to a level of care that I could no longer give her. And yes, and I still struggle with it today, right? You feel like you let people down, and you feel like I let her down, and I promised never to do that, and but the best I could do, it was either get her into care or I wouldn't survive the experience. And
yeah, that's it right there. Guilt plays a huge role, and heck, I'm Jewish, so guilt runs in our
DNA.
There. So it's in the DNA.
I think Japanese mothers are the same way, actually.
Yeah. So I'm predisposed to it, but guilt is the enemy of good decision. Guilt is the enemy of positivity, and guilt produces nothing useful. So it's important to recognize that. And I still have my challenges. I'm human, but it's really important. And I would say to you, Savy, to not feel guilty. And I hope that resonates with the listeners too. Because like you, I got to a point where, and it was made very clear to me by friends, by professionals, you cannot continue, because if you fall, then your mother has nothing. And then she will end up in the first available government low quality bed that's available, and she's hooped. So if you can afford it, and thankfully we could, not everybody can, but we were able to, we got her into a decent facility, and I still cared for her in that facility. And then the big thing is, when I was taking care of her in her home, and you get to a point where you can't run a one bed caregiving home in your home. I wasn't really her son anymore. That relationship left, and we both needed that back. When I got her into a facility, I could still be her prime caregiver, not 24 hours a day. It was nearby, and I was there almost daily. We had COVID restrictions at the time, but and I could be her son again, and she could be my mom again. So that's the important thing. So I'm sorry to go on. I just want to sort of give these.
No, I think that's so important.
I want to get these things out for the
These are the things that are in the book. This is it talks about all of it addresses everything, and talks about, even things advice that you can give to caregivers. It goes on to talk about mistakes you made and burnout, and And then I think another thing too is, and that leads to what I want to talk about next, but I just want to touch on the fact that you also address something called music therapy. And that's a big thing. I go to see my mom now as she's in hospice for the 5th time. And I have on my phone, I have her favorite song. It's a Japanese jazz artist. And I'll play that song on my phone in her ear. And I watch her wrinkled face go to this. And for somebody who's completely unresponsive, to see what that music does to her. And I completely believe in this, but I know, and I want to talk just a little bit about it because, anyway, but the music therapy for you and how you worked with your mother with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I really, at the start, I really have to thank my sister. Her name's Felicia Knaul, also a doctor. She's, pardon me, I'm so sorry, listeners, for I don't know where this cough came from. My sister's she's in the medical faculty down at UCLA, and there's a larger story there. But through her contacts, she found a very prominent, her name is Dr. Amy Clemens Cortez in Toronto area. And Amy is a professor, psychotherapist at U of T, University of Toronto, and a couple of other universities. And she's a music therapist, quite elite, and also cared for her mother through to her passing in dementia. And so through Amy, Amy didn't do the music therapy herself at the time. She had somebody else who did it, a wonderful person named Grace Rogers. And so through my sister, we got our mother sessions. They were actually virtual because of COVID. Music therapy sessions, which did so much for her. And in the book, and I collaborated quite a bit with Amy and Dr. Amy, and so I talk a lot about music therapy in the book. I got a lot of information from Amy, and in the book, the whole book, I have to look again. I think it's 150 or 200 footnotes at endnotes at the end, and a very extensive bibliography. And I did that on purpose so that the readers would have access to more resources, including the music therapy stuff.
Yeah. In fact, so much so that you introduced me to her, and she's going to be coming on the show next month.
Amy or Grace?
Amy.
Oh, fantastic.
So Dr. Amy Clemens Cortez will be on our show as well. So I have her coming to talk about music therapy. So it's super exciting. What a great community. Yeah. So thank you for that. And that was why I wanted to bring it up, especially too, but also because I see it for myself and the importance of it. And I think it's something that caregivers don't always think about. And it's not just music therapy for your caree folks. I want you to understand this is music therapy for you too. And how important it is for you to not lose the song in your life, the song in your heart, and to be able to have that music still playing in your heart. So I think that's really important. But yes, thank you for that.
Oh, I'll add to that. And Amy's a professional, so she'll tell you all about it. But it gives dementia patients an ability to communicate on a different level. It's amazing to see somebody with dementia who might be nonverbal or who's very low verbal ability, et cetera, and then you play a song that they know and love, and they're able to sing along with it. And you're like, where did that come from? And it's different neural pathways, et cetera. Again, I don't want to steal Amy's thunder. And of course, she really knows about it. She's the professional. But you offer them a different pathway, and it is joy.
Wonderful thing. It is a wonderful thing. And there's so many we could go off for another hour on that. So we're going to watch our time and keep focused because I want to move forward a little bit. And then I want to just talk about our last thing, which is that all this that you put into your book, which is an amazing book and has so much information in it. It kind of moves into helping caregivers to be able to be more planned and to give them a guide for caring. And you've actually come up with, and I'll throw your book back on there again, so I can shift over. And you actually came up with a personalized caregiving plan, which is a practical guide to caring for your loved one and for yourself. And so let's just quickly talk about that as we're kind of closing up here, because I want people to understand the importance of what you offer here in this caregiving plan.
Sure. The details are certainly in the book, but if you subscribe on my website, you will get a very brief caregiving plan, and it really helps you put a few things into perspective about things that you can do for the person you're caring for and things to do for yourself too. It allows some organization, because that's the problem when you care for somebody. And also when it's chaos, you're managing chaos, and you're managing more than just their care. You're managing maybe other personal support workers. You're managing employees, you're managing finances, the list goes on.
Well, so here's where your test pilot experience comes in, right? There's a million controls in front of you. How do you organize this? I love it.
I try and bring some order to it. And then the newsletter I do on the website adds a little bit to that too. That comes out every 3 weeks or so, and I try and make it brief. So again, there's a lot more detail on that in the book, but I do offer that. If you subscribe, I'm building a caregiver network like you are. You get that caregiving plan, and you'll get the newsletter and that reminder that you're just not alone. And if there's any way that I can help, I feel that's the goodness that I feel. I want to do that for the community.
Yeah.
I know we're
And
short
I
on
think
time,
that's
so I don't want to.
the more we hold hands, right, the better we are, the more we can connect
Yeah.
community. So it's finalapproach.com. Go on there. You can get the book there. You can subscribe and receive your free caregiving plan. And of course, you'll get the newsletter as well. So
Sorry,
definitely
Savvy.
get on there. Yes.
One mistake. It's finalapproachbook.com. If you
There
go
it
to
is. Yep, I got it on
finalapproach.com,
this one right here.
yeah, there you go. You'll get something else.
Yes, so it's
So,
fine. No, it'll be a test pilot lesson
yeah,
or something. So
yeah.
finalapproachbook.com, and it's right on the screen for those of you watching us and for those listening on podcast. Again, finalapproachbook.com. Go there, get all the information right on the website. You'll see, and then subscribe and get the personalized caregiving plan, as well as get the book, you guys. And you know what? I'll tell you, your kindness and giving continues on. And this is why I feel you're such a great soul. I'm so happy to have you on the show, because it continues on in that you are offering 3 free downloads of your book to anyone watching or listening to the podcast. So the first 3 that comment, that put in the comments, final approach, and I will get a hold of you and get in contact with you on any of our 7 platforms that we're currently streaming on live. So if you're watching live, get that in the comments right now. Final approach. You will get a free download to Jonathan's book. And of course, by all means, if you're listening on podcast as well, just go ahead and I know it's going to be later, so go ahead and comment final approach. And if we have not given out those copies of the book, the downloads, then by all means you will get that as well. But I have a feeling our live audience will be commenting on that right quick. And just go to the website finalapproachbook.com and get all the information you need, and just connect with Jonathan. What a great soul you are, and having met you has truly been a pleasure, and knowing you're out there supporting caregivers is so reassuring. So thank you for all that you've done, and for your book, and for sharing of yourself, and being able to tell your story in a way that's going to help support caregivers for a long, long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Savvy. It's been a real honor and a real pleasure. And thank you to all the listeners and viewers.
Appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. Aloha.
Aloha.
Oh, and you're coming
Mahalo.
to Hawaii, so enjoy your
Yeah.
trip.
Thank you so much. Yeah, coming with the family, so it'll be great.
Yes.
So thank
Great.
you. Mahalo. Aloha.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, that was awesome. This is what it's all about. We're all caregivers, but we have to connect as a community. And if we can connect as a community, then there's nothing stopping us. We can find joy. We can thrive. We can continue on a mission to support ourselves, to support others, to support our loved ones. And life doesn't end with caregiving. We do not have to be isolated. We do not have to be hidden in the dark anymore, depressed. Come out. Hey, Pride Month, come on out. Caregivers are coming out, people. And we can come out, we can form a community, and we can strengthen one another and continue on, because there's so much heart in a caregiver that can be doing so much good in the world today. Mahalo, Jonathan, for sharing with us today. Really appreciate it. Next week, we'll have Rick Henkin, who is the owner of 4 Family Caregivers, and also Deb Bowling, the owner of 808 Notary. Now, I know that's interesting, because you need a notary service when you're caregiving. And of course, more motivation from Andy. Excited to have him back in person. And remember that this show is brought to you by Gimme a Break, and it is and by Givers Guides online magazine and so in trifecta we have Gimme a Break, Givers Guides, and the Caring Caregiver Show, all here for you as caregivers, giving you all that you need, connecting you to community, connecting you to resources, keeping you positive. And we want to keep it all coming. So that donation of a subscription that you make to join and get the Givers Guides online magazine helps us. And of course, you can donate anytime. Just go on to gab808.org and make a donation. That helps us. That helps us to keep going, keep doing what we're doing. It pays the bills. Remember, too, that we're an all-volunteer organization, so no one gets paid to do this. I don't. We're doing all of this voluntarily, and your donations go directly to the services and to help more caregivers out there. And that's what we want to do. We want to keep that community growing. All right. And season 15 is filled with so much more. It is filled with so many more ways for you to survive. Super excited about that. And you could just watch us live on any platform like the one you're watching us now, as well as go back and look at it on any of those platforms. We're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube. And so if you missed that, that's okay. You can listen to us in podcast and about a week after the show. So you'll hear us on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google, gosh, any of them. We're on there. Just type in Caring Caregiver Show. Still didn't work. Still couldn't find us. That's okay. Go to the caringcaregivershow.com right here on the screen, caringcaregivershow.com, and you can listen to any audio of any episode that we've done, the history of all of our episodes. A lot of great resources for you there. The most important thing, caregivers, stay connected. Stay connected. Join the community. Hold hands. You are not alone. You are not there. So check us out. Go to our Facebook page, Givers Guides Facebook page, or the Gimme a Break Facebook page, or even the Caring Caregiver Show Facebook page, and join a community there. You're not alone. You have us. Keep informed. This was a good show. Thank you for being here. And remember, in the meantime, breathe. We forget to do that. And you deserve it. Here's hoping that you're finding more joy in your caregiving every week here on the Caring Caregiving Show. So thanks for tuning in, and please always be kind to yourself, and especially to those who are caring. Aloha, everyone. Have a great week. See you next week.